Dimension 5, Founders. Dealing with founders can be tricky because they are all different. Each one will have their own experiences, personality, and motivations. It is critical that you ensure they remain focused on the big picture, respect the expertise of everyone on board, and make pragmatic rather than emotional decisions quickly when building and scaling the company. As a company leader, you are responsible for preventing founders from being caught unaware by their ego, biases, or other distractions. If there is more than one founder, you will most likely report to just one of them. Being mindful of the power dynamics among the founders and the rest of the executive management and how you can fit is critical to your success in your role, especially if you're new in the company and have joined in the third or fourth year from the startup's inception. SAUS Principle 61, Tame your ego. Your desire to win and be right all the time will most likely cause you to stop listening and push back against the founders instead of educating them and listening to them. This could be fueled by their lack of experience if the founders are very young or they act superior to you because you work for them. Whatever the cause, you need to control your temptation to prove them wrong. Instead, focus on the solution and direction. This means that if you're wrong, you should admit when you're wrong. Rightfully, founders, as entrepreneurs, will likely be emotional about their work and the startup they're building. Sometimes, their pride will get in the way, and they will be sensitive to criticism. That is why you must be able to communicate feedback in a way that respects their feelings and achieves what is best for the company. This doesn't mean that you become a pushover. The first law of the 48 laws of power is never outshine the master. Making the founders appear more brilliant than they are could get you the support needed to achieve faster and better results for the company. SAUS Principle 62, establish routine check-ins. It is easy to be consumed by your day-to-day tasks and problems and forget to keep your peers involved. When you start scaling the operation, it becomes even more important to synchronize with other function heads to avoid duplication of efforts and seize opportunities to fix any emerging challenges. For example, you are working on a big project with a government entity in Morocco, and they requested a set of features that will take lots of effort and money to develop, and you're not sure if it's worth the time and effort. Ideally, you should consult with your commercial peers to see if there are other customers within their network who might be interested in the same features. You could work with your country managers to facilitate a survey to help validate this information. I like using team sports as an example from which to learn. The more a basketball team practices with each other and tries different strategies, the better harmonized and connected they become. The trust among them grows, and the coordination becomes a competitive advantage for the team. The same applies to the operation of a startup. The leadership team is usually small in number and is close in relationship. It is crucial that you all play in harmony and know when to pass the ball at the right time, parking your personal egos on the side and focusing on the greater good of the team and the success of your startup. SAUS Principle 63, leading upward and horizontally, not only downward. Leading does not mean being bossy and telling people what to do. It's about taking the initiative and rallying people to contribute toward the company's objectives. You have to think from the business's perspective and avoid getting sucked into a narrow view in your call to action. This also means that you must be good at navigating office politics. Being smart and delivering results isn't enough. Being loved by your team isn't enough. You have to understand the dynamics which build and sustain your power. You must maintain relationships and alliances with your founders and colleagues and build a visible brand that they all respect. As the executive coach Michael Wenderoth explains in his book, Get Promoted, like a snowball getting larger as it rolls down a hill, the more you succeed, the more influence you have. Your influence will keep growing as the momentum builds, and your colleagues want to be associated with your success. Many of us have survived the journey as CXOs and scale-ups and have learned the hard way that there are always competing interests to navigate. Meritocracy doesn't exist in absolute form. Let's say that the company needs to hire some new customer service staff due to a sudden increase in clients, but there's a limit on new hires. You have approval to hire someone for a position in business development or finance, but you could live without that role for 2 to 3 months. Offer that position to customer service and take a step back to wait for the next available slot. Make sure that you are clear with the head of HR, CEO, and COO on why you are doing so and what you expect in return. Being a team player who acts as a partner does not mean you are a pushover and an easy target. Doing what is right for the company is your compass. SAUS Principle 64. Ensure alignment on vision, goals, and objectives. Traditionally, we are taught that this is the responsibility of the CEO or COO, and in some cases, the head of human resources. However, it should be a collective responsibility of all leaders. When a CEO builds the startup leadership team, they will look for the expertise and leadership traits that fit their current and future needs. This happens by identifying and understanding the CEO's own strengths and weaknesses and filling in the skills and knowledge gaps by hiring the right subject matter experts or promoting emerging talents within the company. Similar to what you would see in team sports like basketball, soccer, baseball, and cricket. The coach of a soccer team will assess the strengths and weaknesses of the existing team members. Then they'll create a profile of the prospective members that they need to recruit to take the team to the next level. So if the soccer team is really strong on defense and weak at offense, the coach will hire great forwards who are quick, agile, and excellent at creating attack opportunities to score goals for the team. The alignment of objectives happens when you follow a structured approach to building your OKRs by cascading them from the CEO to the CXOs and their teams, breaking down the vision and goals into objectives and key results to be achieved by projects and initiatives. With some startup leaders, you might face resistance if you use jargon or academic terminologies such as design thinking, OKRs, or Scrum. If that happens, avoid using such language and instead work with them on a simplified process. If they add their own input into a document or a process, they'll have a sense of ownership and will be less resistant. For example, instead of teaching teams how to use design thinking to improve a feature in your product, get them to interview a sample group of customers and then build a prototype to solve the problem that you agreed on solving. This is a watered-down design thinking approach. As they work more on this project, they'll improve on it and become more engaged. Later, when you provide them with design thinking training, they'll be more receptive to learning the methodology and applying what will improve their outcome. SAUS Principle 65. Build respectful relationships and remain neutral. Be constructive when any of your colleagues are sharing their feedback, independent from their rank in the hierarchy, and avoid influencing them with your opinions and comments on their feedback, which could be perceived as you not listening or not appreciating their feedback. Instead, you could just say, "Thanks for sharing your feedback and observations. This is really helpful. Please continue sharing them with me." The aim is to encourage them to do what's best for the business and to communicate anything that could contribute at improving the service delivery. It's important that you make the effort to spend time with colleagues outside the office too, maybe over lunch or coffee. This way, you build trust and show appreciation for their contribution to your function or the company. SAUS Principle 66. Offer alternative perspectives to the CEO and other founders. A common bias that founders have is hiring senior leaders who have personalities like them and the same thinking process. This is common, especially at early stages of a startup's life, and very common in single-founder startups. This will create and grow blind spots for the founders and the senior leadership in the form of setting the wrong priorities for projects toward building a scalable company. So your job is to make sure these biases are minimal and you always expand the perspective when assessing the right action for a specific time-sensitive problem. For example, you have a vendor, a marketing agency, on retainer to support you with generating leads, and you're the commercial head responsible for them. This agency is not delivering on what you're asking them to provide and keeps resisting following your approach, generating a specific number of leads that fit the quality you're looking for, to have a healthy conversion rate of paying customers that help you achieve your targets. You escalate this issue to the Chief Commercial Officer, CCO, and the instinctive response is to replace this agency and do it immediately. However, you, as the commercial head who has a different view than the CCO, advise them to remain with them for a while, trying a new approach until you shortlist an alternative. If your personality was the same as the CCO, you would have fed into the CCO's emotion and caused a disruption in the business by firing the vendor too early without a succession plan for a new vendor, which would disrupt the operation and make you miss your target.